What if I told you that everything you see around you right now, every single thing, is nothing but shadows on a wall? What if the chair you're sitting on, the screen you're watching, the room surrounding you, even your own reflection in the mirror, are just pale imitations, weak copies of something infinitely more real? What if I told you that 2,400 years ago, in ancient Athens, a man discovered the ultimate secret, the key that could completely shatter your entire understanding of reality, existence, and your own divine nature? But here's what will shock you even more. What if this ancient discovery holds the answer to why you feel so restless? Why you search for meaning? Why nothing in this world ever seems quite enough? Why your soul yearns for something you can't even name? Stay with me until the very end of this mystical journey, because what I'm about to reveal will not only change how you see existence itself, how you understand truth, how you perceive. Welcome, seeker of hidden truths, spiritual wanderer, to a story that bridges ancient wisdom and modern mystery. Today we dive deeper than you've ever gone before, into the full story of Platonism, a philosophy so profound, so revolutionary, so mystically powerful, that it literally shaped the foundation of Western thought, Eastern mysticism, Christian theology, Islamic Sufism, Jewish Kabbalah, and the very concept of what it means to truly, authentically, divinely know. You see, most people think philosophy is just abstract thinking, dusty books in forgotten libraries, intellectual games played by men in toga. But Platonism, Platonism is so much more. It's a roadmap to the divine, a secret transmission from the gods themselves, a key to understanding why you feel so disconnected in this chaotic world, why something deep inside your chest, something ancient, and here's what they deliberately don't teach you in schools, what the modern world has forgotten, what ancient initiates guarded as sacred mysteries. Let me take you back, far back, to Athens in the 5th century before Christ. The air is thick with marble dust and revolutionary ideas. The great Pericles has built the Parthenon. Democracy is being born. And the greatest mind of all time, Socrates, has just been executed by drinking hemlock for the crime of seeking truth, for asking dangerous questions, for corrupting the youth with wisdom. And his most brilliant student, a young aristocrat named Plato, born Aristocles, but called Plato, meaning broad, for his powerful shoulders and even more powerful mind, is about to birth a vision that will echo through eternity, ripple. But here's what they don't teach you in school, what the textbooks deliberately omit. What makes this story truly mystical? Plato wasn't just creating a philosophy. He wasn't just thinking thoughts. He was receiving, channeling, downloading a revelation directly from the divine realm. The academy he founded, it wasn't just a school. It was a mystery school, a place where souls were initiated into the deepest secrets of existence. Above the entrance, carved in stone, were the words, "Let no one ignorant of geometry enter here." Why? Because geometry, mathematics, pure forms, These were the language of the gods, the bridge between this world of shadows and the realm of eternal truth. Have you ever noticed, really noticed, that nothing in this physical world is perfect? Nothing. Your favorite song, no matter how beautiful. There's always something that could be more harmonious, more complete. The most breathtaking sunset you've ever witnessed. It fades. It dies. It becomes just a memory. The deepest love you've experienced. It changes. It evolves. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it disappoints. The sharpest mind you know. It grows old. Forgets. Makes mistakes. Eventually returns to dust. This troubled Plato deeply. It haunted him. It kept him awake at night, staring at the stars, wondering, questioning, seeking. He asked the question that changes everything. The question that once answered can never be unanswered if everything we experience through our senses is flawed, temporary, incomplete, constantly changing. Then, where do we get our idea? Think about this. Really think. How do we recognize beauty if we've never seen perfect beauty? How do we understand justice if we've never witnessed perfect justice? How do we know when something is circular if we've never seen a perfect circle, which doesn't exist in this physical world? How do we recognize love if we've never experienced perfect love? This is the mystery that launched 1,000 mystics, the question that birthed the greatest philosophical revolution in human history. Let's go deeper, deeper than most dare to go. Picture this scene. Feel it. Breathe it. Breathe it. You're chained in a dark cave, iron shackles around your ankles, around your wrists, facing a cold stone wall your entire life. You've never turned around, never seen anything else. Behind you, unknown to you, there's a fire, crackling, casting light, and people, guards perhaps, or actors in some cosmic drama, carrying objects, statues, the shadows, dancing, moving, interacting. These are all you've ever known. They are reality to you. This is life. This is existence. This shadow play. This puppet show. This is what you call the universe. But then, something extraordinary happens. What if someone, some mysterious liberator broke your chains? What if, for the first time in your life, you could turn around and you saw the fire, blazing, brilliant, painful to your eyes that have known only shadow? What if you saw the real objects, three-dimensional, solid, casting those shadows you thought were the whole of reality? And then, imagine this. What if this liberator, this awakener, forced you to stand, dragged you, though you resisted, though you preferred the comfortable darkness? This is Plato's cave, the most powerful allegory ever conceived. And you, right now, as you watch this, as you live your daily life, are the prisoner. But here's the mystical revelation that will give you chills, that will make your soul remember something it thought it had forgotten. The shadows on the wall, they're everything you call real. Your job, your career, your daily worries. your relationships, your problems, your victories, your failures, your bank account, your social status, your body. The real world, the world of perfect forms, exists beyond the physical, beyond time, beyond space, beyond change, beyond death. Up there, in that realm of pure thought, pure essence, pure being, you'll find perfect beauty that never fades, perfect justice that never fails, perfect love that never hurts, perfect truth that never lies. Every triangle you've ever seen, imperfect, drawn with shaky hands, exists because somewhere, in that perfect realm, exists the form of triangle. Perfect, eternal, unchanging. Every circle you've encountered, slightly oval, slightly flawed, participates in the perfect form of circle. Every beautiful face, aging, changing, reflects the eternal form of beauty itself. And here's the mystical part. Here's what will make your heart skip. Here's what will make your soul cry out in recognition. Your soul, your eternal, immortal, divine soul, has been there, has walked those golden streets, has breathed that perfect air, has sung with the angels. Before you were born into this physical body, before you were squeezed through the birth canal into this world of shadows and pain, your soul dwelt in that perfect realm. It knew perfect beauty face to face, not through mirrors, not through reflections, but directly, intimately, completely. It conversed with perfect truth as a friend converses with a friend. It danced with perfect love in eternal harmony. Birth, your birth, my birth, every birth, was like being thrown into the cave, chained to the wall, forced to forget, to see only shadows where once you saw blazing rays. But sometimes, oh, sometimes, in moments of profound beauty, when a piece of music stops you in your tracks and brings tears to your eyes, in flashes of deep insight when the answer comes from nowhere, your soul recognizes these shadows, these faint reflections, because it has seen the originals, because it has been home. This is why music moves you to tears, though you can't explain why. This is why a sunset stops you in your tracks and fills you with inexplicable longing. This is why justice matters so deeply to you, even when the world seems hopelessly unjust. This is why you feel homesick for a place you've never been to, why you search for a love you've never found, why you long for a peace this world cannot give. You're not going crazy. You're not being foolish. You're not chasing illusions. You're remembering home. Your soul is calling you home. Let me tell you what happened next, because this is where the story becomes even more mystical, even more powerful, even more relevant to your spiritual awakening. Plato died in 347 BC, but his ideas, his ideas were like seeds scattered by a cosmic wind across the ancient world. They took root in the most unexpected places, in Alexandria's mystery schools, in the caves of hermit monks, in the libraries of Islamic scholars, in the meditation halls of Christian mystics. They grew They evolved. They cross-pollinated with other wisdom traditions. They became something even more powerful, even more transformative. Enter the Neoplatonists, the mystical inheritors of Plato's vision, the ones who took pure philosophy and turned it into a living spiritual path. 3 centuries after Plato's death, in the mystical city of Alexandria, where East meets West, where ancient Egyptian magic mingles with Greek wisdom, a man named Plotinus, born in Egypt, trained in philosophy, experienced not just intellectual understanding, not just believing in the forms, but direct, immediate, overwhelming, mystical union with what he called the One, the Source, the fountain from which all reality flows like light. The One. Listen carefully. This will expand your consciousness. The One is not a God with personality, not a being you can name or describe or limit, but the very principle of existence itself. Picture this cosmic hierarchy, this great chain of being that connects you to the divine, at the very top of existence, beyond being, beyond thought, beyond description, beyond everything you can imagine. There is pure unity, the One, not one among many, but the principle that makes counting possible. Not a thing, but the source of all things. Not conscious in the way you are conscious, but the source of all consciousness. From the One, like light streaming from the sun, like thoughts flowing from mind, emanates the divine mind, the nous, containing all the perfect forms that Plato described. Here, in this realm of pure intelligence, exist all possibilities, all perfections, all truths. This is where mathematics lives, where music originates, where all beautiful things find their source. And from the divine mind, flowing like a river of life, emanates the world's soul, the psyche, the animating principle that gives life and consciousness to everything you see. But here's where it gets personal, where it touches your deepest longing, where it explains that ache in your chest, that restlessness in your spirit. You, your individual soul, your unique consciousness, your irreplaceable essence, is a fragment of that world's soul you carry within you right now. As you watch this, as you breathe, as you wonder, a spark of the divine, not metaphorically, not symbolically, but literally, actually, really. When you feel homesick for a place you've never been, when you sense there's infinitely more to life than what meets the eye, when you look at the stars and feel a pull you can't explain, that's your divine spark. Plotinus taught something revolutionary, something that can change your life if you truly understand it. He taught that through contemplation, through purification of the heart, through the practice of divine love, you could retrace your step. You could climb back up that ladder of emanation, step by step, stage by stage, back through the world's soul, back to the divine. Back. This wasn't just theory for Plotinus. This wasn't just beautiful philosophy. This wasn't just wishful thinking. And here's what will blow your mind. What will shake you to your core. What proves this isn't just ancient fantasy. This wasn't just theory for Plotinus. His student Porphyry, who lived with him, who watched him, who recorded his teachings, wrote that Plotinus achieved this mystical union, this cosmic consciousness, this direct experience of the One. 4 times, this human being, this man of flesh and blood like you, stepped completely out of the cave, ascended beyond the world of shadows, transcended individual consciousness, and experienced 4 documented experiences of what mystics call unio mystica, what Buddhists call samadhi, what Sufis call fani, what Kabbalists call devekut, the dissolution of the separate self. Remember, this is not fiction. This is not mythology. This is recorded history. This is documented mystical experience. This actually happened to a real human being. Which means it can happen to you. But wait. There's more. So much more. Porphyry also recorded that during these mystical unions, Plotinus would become so absorbed in the divine light, so merged with infinite consciousness, that he would forget to eat, forget to sleep, forget his own name, forget that he had a body at all. He would emerge from these experiences, transformed, radiant, speaking of truths that had no words, describing realities that had no names. And when he tried to express what he had experienced, the words that came out, they became the Enneads, 6 sets of 9 treatises that remain to this day the most profound mystical texts ever written. A roadmap. Let's go even deeper into the mystery, into the web of connections that will make your mind reel. As Platonism spread across the ancient world, something miraculous happened. It began to merge, to dance, to create offspring with other mystical traditions. Christian mystics identified the Neoplatonic one with God the Father. Islamic philosophers found in Plato's forms the perfect explanation for the 99 beautiful names of Allah. Jewish Kabbalists saw in the emanations from the One the very structure of the tree of life, the 10 sephirot through which the Ein Sof, the infinite, creates and sustains the world. Do you see what's happening here? Do you understand the profound significance? Platonism wasn't just a Greek curiosity. It wasn't just one philosophy among many. It became the underlying mystical framework, the hidden architecture, the secret foundation for 3 of the world's major religions. When St. Augustine, the great Christian saint, had his mystical experiences in the Garden of Milan, when he wrote about the divine light that suddenly illuminated his understanding and flooded his heart with love, he was channeling. The eternal ideas became God's thoughts. The realm of forms became heaven. The soul's journey home became salvation. When Islamic mystics like Ibn Arabi spoke of fana, the beautiful dissolution of the ego into divine unity, when they described the 7 valleys of love that the soul must traverse to reach the beloved, they were walking the Platonian path. When medieval Christian mystics like Meister Eckhart taught about the birth of Christ in the soul, when they spoke of the divine spark hidden in the depths of consciousness, when they described the mystical marriage between the soul and God, but the story doesn't end in the ancient world. Oh no, this is where it gets even more fascinating, even more relevant to your modern life, even more connected to the spiritual awakening happening right now on this planet. The Renaissance, that explosion of art, science, human potential, spiritual renewal that lifted Europe out of the Dark Ages, was essentially, fundamentally, a Platonic revival, a remembering, a return to the light. When Cosimo de' Medici founded the Platonic Academy in Florence in 1462, he wasn't just creating a school. He wasn't just gathering scholars. He was igniting a spiritual revolution that would change the world. He was reopening the mystery school, rekindling the ancient flame, calling souls back to their divine heritage. Marsilio Ficino, the priest-philosopher who translated Plato's complete works into Latin for the first time in 1,000 years. He wasn't just a translator. He was a magus, a spiritual alchemist. He practiced what he called natural magic, using music, images, stones, herbs, and above all, contemplation, to align the soul with celestial influences, to remember its divine nature. Pico della Mirandola, the young genius who wrote the Oration on the Dignity of Man. He wasn't just writing philosophy. He was channeling revelation. He taught something so revolutionary, it shook the foundations of medieval thinking. That humans exist between the worlds, part animal, part angel, with the divine power to choose, to ascend or descend. And here's where modern science enters the picture, in ways that will absolutely amaze you, in ways that prove, beyond any doubt, that Plato was not just a philosopher, but a prophet, a seer, a receiver of cosmic truth. When Galileo pointed his telescope at the heavens and saw mathematical harmony written in the movements of the planets, when he discovered that the book of nature is written in mathematical language, he was seeing through Platonic eyes. Those mathematical truths, those perfect geometries, those elegant equations that govern the dance of celestial bodies. Where do they exist? In minds? In brains? In neural networks? No. They exist in the world of forms. In Plato's perfect realm, eternal, unchanging, more real than the physical planets themselves. When Isaac Newton discovered that the same force that pulls an apple from a tree also keeps the moon in its orbit, when he found mathematical laws that describe both earthly and heavenly motion, he was discovering Platonic forms, eternal principles that govern all physical reality. When Einstein sat in his study and discovered that E equals mc squared, when he found mathematical relationships that govern the cosmos, when he revealed that space and time are not separate but woven together in a fabric that can, the deeper we dig into reality, the more we peel away the layers of appearance, the more we find not matter, not energy, not particles, but mathematical relationships. Modern quantum physics, with its observer effect, with particles that exist in multiple states until consciousness collapses them into definite reality, with its revelation that the act of measurement creates the reality being measured. What is real? What role does consciousness play in creating reality? Is the physical world as solid and independent as it appears? Or is it, as Plato suggested, a shadow, a projection, a reflection of something infinitely more fundamental? And here's something that will connect directly to your own experience, to your own spiritual journey, to those moments when you know, absolutely know, that there's more to reality than what your physical senses reveal. Every time you recognize beauty, every time you're stopped in your tracks by a piece of music that seems to come from another world, every time a poem touches something deep inside, that chill you get when you hear a certain melody, that moment when time stops and eternity enters, that's not just emotion. That's recognition. That instant when you see a work of art and feel like you're looking at something sacred, something that speaks directly to your soul, that's not just aesthetic appreciation. That's your soul saying, I remember this. I know this. Think about falling in love. Really falling in love. Not just attraction. Not just chemistry. But that moment when you look into someone's eyes and recognize something eternal. Something you've been searching for your whole life. Something that feels like Plato would say you're not falling in love with that person. You're recognizing the form of beauty, the form of love itself, shining through their physical appearance, calling to the divine spark within you. But let me tell you about the most profound aspect of Platonism. The part that can literally transform your life. The part that offers not just understanding, but actual liberation. Actual awakening. The journey back home. The path of ascent, the way of return. Plato taught that education, true education, real learning, isn't about stuffing information into your head like data into a computer. It's not about memorizing facts or accumulating knowledge. It's about turning your soul around, helping you see beyond the shadows, helping you remember who you really are, helping you climb, step by step. The Greek word he used was periagog, meaning turning around, conversion, transformation. Education is not adding something new to the soul. It's removing the obstacles, clearing away the confusion, dissolving the illusions that prevent you from seeing what was always there. Every spiritual practice, every form of meditation, every path of self-improvement, every method of consciousness expansion is essentially, fundamentally, Platonic. You're trying to purify your perception, to see beyond the illusions of the cave, to remember who you really are, to reconnect with your divine source. When you practice mindfulness, when you sit in silence and watch your thoughts, you're learning to see through the shadows to what's real. When you study sacred texts, when you contemplate the words of mystics and sages, you're looking for eternal truths behind temporary words. When you fall in love, truly love another being, you're seeing through the person to the perfect love they carry, the divine spark they embody, the eternal essence that makes them who they really are. When you create art, when you write poetry, when you compose music, you're not making something from nothing. You're channeling, receiving, downloading perfect forms from the eternal realm, making the invisible visible. And here's the secret, the key that unlocks everything, the method that changes a philosophical theory into a living spiritual path. The thing that transforms ancient wisdom into present moment awakening. You don't have to wait until you die to start the journey home. You don't have to wait for some future lifetime. You don't have to wait for perfect conditions or complete understanding. You can begin right now, today, this moment, this breath. Every time you choose truth over comfortable lies. Every time you choose beauty over ugliness. Every time you choose love over fear. Every time you choose wisdom over ignorance. The ancient Platonists, the real ones, the initiates of the mystery schools, they had practices, techniques, sacred methods, ways of ascending that were passed down through secret lineages, hidden in symbols, encoded in myths. They used mathematics, because numbers are pure forms, perfect, eternal, unchanging. When you contemplate the perfect symmetry of a golden spiral, when you meditate on the infinite nature of pi, when you lose yourself in the beauty of geometric patterns, you're practicing Platonic mysticism. You're using the language of the gods to speak to the divine within yourself. They used music, because harmony reflects the mathematical structure of the cosmos, the music of the spheres, the divine proportions that hold all creation together. When you listen deeply to sacred music, when you chant, when you sing, when you allow sound to dissolve the boundaries of your separate self, you're participating in cosmic harmony, aligning your individual soul. They used dialectic, sacred conversation, philosophical dialogue that cuts through illusion like a sword, questions that shatter false beliefs, reasoning that leads the soul from opinion to knowledge, from belief to direct experience. They practiced what they called theurgy, divine work, sacred rituals and prayers designed not to change the gods, but to change themselves, to purify their souls, to align their consciousness with. And here's what modern science is discovering. Here's what neuroscience and psychology and consciousness research are revealing. Practices like meditation, contemplation, prayer, even carefully guided psychedelic experiences. When experienced meditators describe states of pure awareness, consciousness without content, being without doing, they're describing what sounds remarkably like Plotinus's experience of the One. When mystics throughout history speak of cosmic consciousness, a feeling merged with infinite being, of experiencing themselves as drops returning to the ocean, they're walking the same path, climbing the same ladder, returning to the same. When people have near-death experiences and report entering realms of pure light, of infinite love, of perfect knowledge, of mathematical harmony, they're describing what sounds exactly like Plato's world of forms. When they say they felt more real, more themselves, more awake than they'd ever felt in physical life, they're confirming what Plato taught. That this physical world, beautiful as it is the realm of shadows, and we are citizens of a far more real, far more beautiful, far more perfect reality. You see, Platonism isn't just ancient history. It's not just dusty philosophy for academics to argue about. It's a living tradition, a path that's always available, a ladder you can climb, a door you can open, a cave you can escape, if you choose to see, if you choose to remember, if you choose to come home. But here's the beautiful paradox. Here's the mystery within the mystery. The more you ascend toward the One, the more you discover your own true nature. The journey outward is simultaneously a journey inward. The path to God is simultaneously the path to your deepest self. Finding perfect beauty means recognizing the beauty that you are. Touching eternal truth means remembering the truth of your own divine essence. The forms are not somewhere else. They're the deepest reality of what you are right now. You are not separate from perfect love. You are perfect love, temporarily forgetting itself. You are not distant from infinite truth. You are infinite truth, playing hide and seek with itself. You are not exiled from eternal beauty. You are eternal beauty dreaming. It's lost in a world of shadow. The forms are calling to you right now, in this moment, through every beautiful thing you've ever experienced, through every truth that's ever illuminated your mind, through every love that's ever opened your heart. Perfect beauty is calling through every sunset you've ever loved, every piece of music that's moved you to tears, every face that's taken your breath away, every work of art that stopped you in your tracks and made you feel like you were touching something sacred, something. Perfect truth is calling through every insight that's ever dawned in your consciousness, every moment of understanding, when confusion suddenly cleared, every time you've known something with absolute certainty, even though you couldn't prove. Perfect love is calling through every moment of connection you've ever felt with another soul. Every time you've loved so deeply that the boundaries of your separate self dissolved. Every instant when you felt love. Perfect goodness is calling through every act of kindness you've witnessed, every moment of compassion that's moved your heart, every example of courage that's inspired your soul, every instance of justice that's restored your faith, every glimpse of what humanity. You can dismiss this as philosophy, as ancient superstition, as mystical nonsense, as wishful thinking. That's your choice. You have free will. You can stay chained in the cave, watching shadows dance on the wall, calling them real, living and dying in the world of illusions. Or you can turn around. You can see the fire. You can begin the climb toward the light. You can start the journey home. You can remember what your soul has always known. That you are not just a body, not just a mind, not just a temporary arrangement of atoms destined for decay and dissolution. You are a divine spark, temporarily clothed in flesh, a fragment of infinite consciousness, experiencing itself subjectively, a citizen. The Platonic path is still open. The mystery school doors are still unlocked. The ladder of ascent is still there for anyone brave enough, anyone sincere enough, anyone ready enough to begin climbing. The cave entrance is illuminated. The light is still shining. The forms are still calling. The one is still emanating infinite love, infinite truth, infinite beauty into this world of shadows. Waiting, always waiting, for its children to remember, to turn around, to come home. But here's the final secret, the ultimate mystery, the truth that transforms everything. You don't just return to the one, you discover that you never left. You don't just find perfect love, you remember that perfect love is what you are. You don't just touch eternal truth. You awaken to the fact that eternal truth is your deepest nature. The journey is real. The path is real. The practices work. The ascent is possible. But the ultimate realization, the final awakening, The supreme enlightenment is discovering that the seeker and the sought, the lover and the beloved, the knower and the known, were never really two. Were always, have always been, will always be. Darkash. 1. All you have to do is choose to see. All you have to do is choose to remember. All you have to do is choose to come home to what you've always been, to who you really are, to the love that you are, to the truth that you are, to the beauty that you are. The shadows are still dancing on the wall, casting their spell, weaving their illusions. But now you know, now you remember, they're only shadows. The fire is calling your name. The light is calling you home. The one is calling its beloved child back to itself. The question is, will you answer the call? Write in the comments. Have you ever had a moment when you felt like you were remembering something eternal, something you'd always known but had forgotten? Have you ever experienced beauty so profound, truth so clear, love so deep, that it felt like coming home to yourself? Share this video if it awakened something in your soul, if it reminded you of who you really are, if it called you back to your divine heritage. And subscribe to continue this journey into the deepest mysteries of existence, because the shadows are dancing on the wall, but the fire, the eternal fire, is calling your name. The cave is comfortable, but the light, the infinite light, is calling you home.